Brr! It's cold outside. A kind sparrow wants to help a shivering monkey. But will her wise words be heard? Tune in for the sparrow's advice and see what happens when good intentions meet frosty ears.
Deep within a vibrant, green jungle, a magnificent, ancient tree stood tall, its sprawling branches reaching towards the sky like welcoming arms. Nestled securely on one of these sturdy branches lived a cheerful couple of sparrows, the female sparrow and her devoted mate. The female sparrow was a small, delicate bird, with shimmering, iridescent brown feathers, a tiny orange beak perfect for gathering, and bright, curious black eyes that sparkled with life. Both she and her mate had worked tirelessly for many days, flitting back and forth with twigs, soft green moss, and fluffy white feathers. This patient effort transformed their collection into a perfectly round and exceptionally snug nest, a true masterpiece of bird architecture. It was more than just a place to sleep. It was their comfortable little haven, a peaceful retreat from the bustling, sometimes wild, jungle life. Their thoughtful and cozy dwelling provided perfect shelter from all the elements. Whether the sun blazed fiercely or the wind howled its loudest songs, their home kept them safe, warm, and perfectly happy, no matter what the weather brought their way. They were truly content in their comfortable abode. As the days grew shorter, the crisp, cool air of winter began to settle gently over the jungle, bringing with it a quiet and contemplative beauty. One chilly afternoon, the sparrows were enjoying the warmth and security of their carefully crafted nest, chirping soft melodies to each other, feeling utterly content. Suddenly, a gentle, rhythmic pitter-patter began outside, tiny droplets tapping softly on the broad leaves around them. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the pitter-patter grew stronger, turning into a steady, soft rain that showered the entire jungle with cool, refreshing droplets. The leaves on the massive tree glistened and shimmered, reflecting the muted light, and the air grew damp and refreshingly cold. A soft mist began to rise from the jungle floor, creating an ethereal scene. But inside their cozy, round nest, lovingly built from twigs and feathers, the female sparrow and her mate remained perfectly dry and snug. They tucked their heads under their wings, feeling blessed to have such a wonderful, protective home. A little while later, a lonely, medium-sized monkey with sleek, dark brown fur and large, expressive, deep brown eyes came scrambling through the wet, clinging branches below the sparrow's tree. He was a nimble primate, about half the height of a small child. But at this moment, he looked incredibly miserable and utterly forlorn. The heavy, persistent rain had thoroughly drenched his fur, soaking him right down to his skin, making him shiver uncontrollably from head to tail. His usually large, agile hands and feet, which could grasp branches with incredible strength, now seemed stiff and clumsy from the biting cold. He desperately sought shelter under the thickest part of the giant tree's canopy, hoping to find some reprieve from the relentless downpour. His teeth began to chatter noisily, a clear and undeniable sign of his deep discomfort and the intense cold seeping into his bones. He huddled against the rough bark, trying to make himself as small as possible. From the dryness and comfort of her secure, round nest high above, the kind female sparrow spotted the shivering, miserable monkey below. Her tiny, feathered body felt a genuine pang of pity for the poor, wet creature. Leaning out slightly from the nest's opening, her bright black eyes softened with sincere concern and a desire to help. She called down to him with a gentle, melodic, chirping voice filled with warmth that contrasted with the cold rain. "Oh, dear monkey," she began softly, her tiny orange beak opening and closing with each clear word. "You have such clever, ingenious hands and strong feet. much like the humans who walk on two legs. You could use them for so many wonderful and practical things in this jungle." She paused, then added, her voice still brimming with helpfulness, "Considering your amazing abilities, why don't you use them to build a strong, protective home for yourself, just like the cozy one my mate and I have created?" The monkey, already soaked to the bone from the relentless rain and shivering with an intense, biting cold, was truly in no mood for any kind of friendly advice, no matter how well meant or sincerely offered. His ears twitched irritably at the sparrow's persistent chirping words, which seemed to pierce through the quiet patter of the rain. All he truly wanted at that moment was for the icy rain to simply stop, and for the unbearable cold to magically vanish from his aching body. Hearing a tiny, seemingly fearless bird lecturing him on his life choices only made his current discomfort even worse, rapidly transforming his deep cold into a fiery, simmering annoyance. With a low grumble rumbling in his chest, his usually expressive, deep brown eyes narrowed dangerously, and he looked up with a sharp glare at the small, round nest. "You wicked, meddlesome sparrow," he snapped, his voice rough, cold, and laced with frustration. "Why can't you simply keep your tiny mouth shut and mind your own business for once?" But the kind female sparrow, persistent in her good intentions and conviction, decided not to heed the monkey's grumpy words or his obvious displeasure. She genuinely felt that he desperately needed to understand the myriad benefits of having a well-prepared and secure home, just like hers. Her gentle, insistent chirping continued, now filled with even more conviction and an unwavering sense of kindness. Her small head cocked to one side. She fluffed her shimmering, iridescent brown feathers slightly, clearly explaining her point of view with sincere enthusiasm. "Look at us, dear monkey," she chirped happily, gesturing with her tiny orange beak towards her exquisitely comfortable and dry nest. "In here, my mate and I enjoy wonderful, constant comfort and undeniable security. We never suffer from the scorching, intense heat of summer, the biting, chilling cold of winter, or the relentless, pouring rain like this that drenches you." She truly believed her words held wisdom. Sparrow's continuous, insistent chirping, and her well-meaning but ill-timed advice, instead of comforting the miserable monkey, only served to relentlessly fuel his growing and dangerous anger. He clenched his agile hands, his mind twisting with bitter frost from the cold and a surge of overwhelming frustration. "What an incredibly bothersome, truly wicked little bird," he fumed internally, his dark brown eyes narrowing further into dangerous slits. "She chatters and talks as if she knows absolutely everything in the entire world, mastering all sciences and grand philosophies, and simply won't stop her endless, relentless chattering." The monkey's usually calm and placid demeanor was utterly shattered by the combined forces of the intense cold and the incessant, relentless nagging. "She is making me so incredibly furious," he muttered under his shivering breath, the words barely audible, "that I genuinely feel like I could do something terrible, something hurtful, like actually harming her with my own hands." The monkey's tormented thoughts continued to spiral downwards, intensifying his already dangerous rage with every single chirp that emanated from the persistent sparrow. "I am already suffering terribly from this cold, biting, and relentless rain," he thought furiously, his entire body aching, and his teeth clenched tightly together in pure misery. "The very last thing I desperately need, or ever want to hear right now, is any more of this ceaseless, unwanted advice." But the insistent female sparrow, still genuinely believing she was offering invaluable help and wisdom, paid no mind to his visibly distressed demeanor or his earlier sharply spoken angry words. Her bright black eyes, unwavering in their purpose, continued to offer guidance, her tiny orange beak opening and closing with persistent, almost maddening chirps. The continuous sound of her voice became an unbearable, piercing torment to the cold, utterly furious monkey, pushing him violently past his absolute breaking point and into a fit of uncontrolled fury. Suddenly, with a furious, echoing cry of rage that ripped through the otherwise quiet, rain-soaked jungle, the monkey had finally had more than enough. He sprung into immediate action, his swift, agile hands and feet finding purchase on the wet, slippery bark of the ancient tree with shocking ease. With incredible, furious speed, he scrambled up the thick, towering trunk, completely ignoring the slick surface and the persistent, cold rain that fell around him. He moved with a terrifying, single-minded determination, his boundless anger giving him an unnatural surge of strength. Reaching the sturdy branch where the sparrow's round, cozy, and carefully built nest lay, his powerful hands, usually so gentle when grooming his fur, now clenched savagely. With a single, brutal motion, fueled by his overwhelming rage, he ripped the comfortable, feathered home to shreds, mercilessly tearing it to countless pieces and scattering it into the cold, wet, unforgiving air below. In a heartbreaking flash, the little sparrows had lost their warm, comfortable home, all because their undeniably good intentions were delivered at a truly unfortunate and wrong moment. This story, dear children, teaches us an incredibly important lesson about how we interact with others. Sometimes, even the best advice, spoken with the kindest heart and purest intentions, can tragically cause more trouble and pain if the person listening isn't ready or able to hear it yet. It is always a wonderful thing to help and guide others, but it's just as important, if not more so, to try and understand their current feelings, their mood, and the difficult situation they are deeply struggling with before we offer our guidance. We must learn to recognize when someone is suffering too much to truly appreciate our wise words, and instead perhaps offer quiet comfort, silent understanding, or practical help first, letting them know they are not alone.
Ever dreamed of being the hero? Now you get to be the star. Your adventure starts at TalesMio. Visit talesmio.com now.